Good morning. So this week I've been doing a number of YouTube lives, just trying to touch base with people. My name is Greg. I'm a tutor. Amongst a bunch of other things, I also tutor for the SHSAT, the SHSAT, the New York City Specialized High School Admission Test. And the first iteration of that is this Saturday. So I'm just leaving a bunch of advice and thoughts and things like that about it. So give me 1 second. I want to make sure I'm seeing this here. Let's see here. And so I guess while I'm looking at this, the first thing is tomorrow is supposed to be when you're going to be able to print your tickets. So, no, why is that not showing up? Okay, in any event, let me just continue. So just going to do a little fireside chat here and mention a bunch of things. There's two other parts to this. I've also done some Ask Me Anythings. I have a new YouTube channel, so nobody logged on because I have no subscribers yet. I only think I only started the channel on Sunday, and it's 3 days ago. So, the basic premise of this thread of videos is that you're interested in taking the SHSAT. You've done a run of practice. It's the week before. Now what? What do you do? So so the thing is, you've been proactive. You've hopefully been practicing for a few months. You've used good resources, which could be some of the more popular books or a tutor. I would highly suggest always using a tutor. I know that's self-fulfilling because I'm a tutor. So obviously I have a bias in getting paid. But the truth of the matter is the books can only go so far, and there's nothing like having a shoulder behind you to give you advice and an outside eyes and ears to give you a non-biased opinion about what's being viewed and so on. The thing is, at some point, you've done enough of these practice tests. There's enough of them out there, both through the Department of Education and through external sources. There's even non-SHSAT testing material that you can use because you want to be rigorous in these activities. And there's a certain point where you get to somewhere, it's worth having this outside viewpoint just to tell you where the third party thinks you are, being the tutor. There's also you can get extra advice and thoughts that you never thought of before. I did a video yesterday where somebody mentioned that they were having a problem with the reading comprehension part. Hopefully I helped that person and other people as well. But the point is, without that extra input, because there's only so much input you give your friends and your family, and if they're not expertise in testing and in this test and how to approach things and problem solving, you can only get so far. It's not to say you won't get good ideas doing that, but you can only go so far. So the point is to get somebody who's well versed in these things and knows what they're doing and knows what they're talking about, and it's worth it, even if it's a 1 hour or 2 hour session. In fact, I have a new student today, even though they're taking the test on Saturday. They practice and they just want that extra set of eyes and ears. So the point is, what now? So let me mention a few things that you should have done by now. And some of the other parts of this, I talked about, getting the ticket and making sure you're registered and so on. But what about the test itself? Okay, so first of all, you want to make sure, even though you did a lot of the problems, that you still have some test somewhere that you can sit down for the 2 or 3 hours and make sure you can get through it. Okay, so basically what you want to do is simulate the testing environment. If you're taking it in the morning, probably try to do this in the morning. If your test is in the afternoon, try to do it in the afternoon. Okay, and you're going to sit for 3 hours. You're not going to get up, and hopefully you have a quiet area where you're not going to have music playing. You're not going to have somebody next door jumping up and down, the kid jumping up and down, or whatever. You want a quiet time, even if it means going to a library to do it, or some other quiet place like that, where you can dedicate that 2.5, 3 hours and time yourself. If some of you have not timed yourself, which deals with pacing yourself, this test is very important for pacing. You absolutely need to pace yourself. You have about 1 minute to answer every question. You can't really take more than a minute. And if you haven't worked out a strategy which is relating to pacing, your strategy of how to approach the test, and what section to do first, and what subsections to do first. Again, there's two parts of the test, and how do you split up your time? A lot of people like to think, well, there's 3 hours, so let me spend an hour and a half in English and an hour and a half in math. For almost everybody, in fact, I'll say everybody, for everybody, that's actually a bad strategy, especially based on the way the test is graded. The two parts are graded independently and then merged. Then it sounds like you get a super score, which is the addition of the two. Currently there's 114 questions. So the premise is, you might think it doesn't matter which of those I order, and which order and so on, answer in which order. But the truth of the matter is, it does matter. And there's a curve, not on the whole test, but on the math part there's a curve, and the ELA part there's a curve. And in the merge they get a composite score. So you can do really, really well on both parts and get a lower score again than getting really good on one part and so on another part. Okay? So that's it. Another thing to be aware is of, most people are not going to get to finish the whole test. There's going to be a handful of questions some people will finish it, but usually there's very few time to do double checking. You're doing 1 minute a question, bing, bang, boom, bing, bang, boom, bing, bang, boom, over and over and over. It's a high stakes test with complicated questions. Sometimes even the easy ones seem too easy, and you can just start freaking out, which is a whole other thing involving with this. As much as this is about English and math, it's also a mind game. A lot of success in doing this is psychological, which is why you practice. If it was just about English and math, you wouldn't be practicing, because you already went through the New York State curriculum, so you're supposed to know English and math. So there's something else going on here. There's something more here. So, and also the concept of being higher stake. And that's why it's important to do the simulation I mentioned earlier. That said, there's nothing like the actual test date where you have to go to the location, you're excited, you might be anxious, you're feeling a lot of pressure, all those other things like that. And with this psych game going on, that's just as important too, where you want to start taking the premise, I did a lot of practice, I am where I am, let me just start calming down, okay? And again, if you haven't figured out how to pace yourself and where your strengths are on the test, right now is the time to do that, and you have the time to do that. You still have 3 or 4 days to figure that out. And what you want to do is use your strengths for you. Okay, so again, if you're getting super duper scores in English, try to figure out maybe if you can get a super top score in the next 3 days. If you're having problems in math, figure out where it is. Is it only the angle problems? Okay, is it the probability ones? And that also means when you're taking the test, that's part of your strategy, and that's part of your pacing. If you do horrible in the pacing examples, you might end up taking a lot more extra time on them. So maybe you should skip those on your first go through of the test. Okay, and some people like to do a little English, a little math, a little English, a little math. No matter how, you could go from question 50 back to 1. Just figure out a strategy. The point is that you only have a minute, and some people say, well, skip the hard ones, do the easy ones, skip the hard one, do the easy one. The problem is you also don't want to spend so much time figuring out which is easy and hard. So most 3/4 of the test you should be comfortable answering. And you're not, because if you read 10 problems and decide they're too hard, you just wasted 8 to 10 minutes doing that. And you don't have 8 to 10 minutes to throw away. Okay? So you need to make snap decisions on almost everything here without freaking out. Learn to breathe. It's important to breathe. Every single one of my students, I have a sheet about breathing and how to relax during the test. And the basic premise is, if you breathe in and count to 3, and then breathe out through your mouth, almost like you're blowing through a straw and counting to 3. And you do that 3 times in a row. So breathe in and out, in and out, in and out. Just calmly, without making noises. You're not, or do you just breathe in through your nose up to 3? You don't need to hold it. You can hold it maybe for half a second, and then breathe out slowly. Do that 3 times. You've rejuvenated your body. You brought oxygen into your body. Okay, your muscles need that. Your brain needs that. Okay, you're not going to do this every minute because you're going to hyperventilate and pass out. Okay, it may calm you so badly that you pass out. So you can maybe do this 2 or 3 times during the test. Okay, just relax. You can also do stuff like this. Just stretch. You're stretching your muscles, trying to loosen up your body. You can do some of these things as long as you're not annoying the other students while the test is going on, and it's helping your body relax. You can't. I would suggest looking like that, but you can't. So you can look up and down. Just loosen it up, and it's a way to take a break for 10 seconds too. Because if you're gonna go for 3 hours straight, you're gonna pass out. You're gonna be exhausted. So it's worth just taking those 30-second breaks. You can also close your eyes while you're doing it, just to give that little relaxation for a few seconds. Okay? And the point is, you practiced, you worked out a strategy, you worked out a pacing. Now it's test day. You're just gonna take it. You're just gonna take it, and whatever happens, happens. And that doesn't mean you're being careless or you don't care. It means you've done the due diligence. There's a lot of rigor involved in this, and you've done the due diligence. Let me see. I wrote down a bunch of things. Let me see if I talked about everything. So you're hopefully going to get your ticket tomorrow, October 18th. They claimed you're going to be able to print it out at that point. They were not sure how to print it out yet. So hopefully they worked all that out and that nobody has any problems tomorrow. If you do have a problem, get to your guidance counselor immediately. Actually, that's what I wanted to do. That's why I want the link. Let me see if I can find my thing here real quickly, because I'm going to post the phone number, which I have to look up. What's going on here? Okay, let me bring me here. Okay, it's 718, I think 935 2009. Okay, I'm going to post that, and I'm going to quickly Google that. 718 935 209. And see if it brings up the right thing. Yes, that's a DOE. So that's the Welcome Center of the New York City Department of Education, 718-935-2009. And I'm going to write that is the Welcome Center number of NYC DOE if you have ticket problems, but contact your school guidance counselor immediately first. Okay, so get your ticket if you can. That's the first thing. If you don't have your ticket, you're not going to the thing. The other is if you can, I would still strongly suggest, even though it's Wednesday, a lot of kids who already got tutoring for the SHSAT, they've ended it already. That said, the latest SHSAT is still November 18th, which is still over a month away. There's 4 test dates. On each test date, there's multiple times. So there's the 20 and 21st, Saturday and Sunday, which has 2 sessions each. There's November 1st, which is happening in some middle schools only. And if you don't know about this, your middle school would have set it up. So don't pursue this. It's already too late. There's also November 3rd and November 18th. Sorry, I have hiccups. November 18th. So there's still 5 test dates, and there's still a couple of weeks. So there's even time to get a tutor by Saturday, Sunday. There's definitely time by November 1st. That's over a week. November 3rd is even further. November 18th is over a month away. So there's still a lot of time to do this and work out strategies, work out plans, work out pacing, get an external person looking at this. So again, you want to make sure that you've practiced enough, and so that on test date, you're relaxed and confident. That day, you're not supposed to be freaking. You're just going to be relaxing. So your goal is to wake up early, be on time, be before the time, get there maybe 20 minutes before in the morning. The afternoon session, you realize if there's 2 sessions, that the previous session kids are leaving and the next session kids are entering at some of these testing locations. So in the morning, I would say you'll be there at least 15 to 20 minutes early. In the afternoon, I would say be at least half an hour to maybe even an hour early. And of course, in the afternoon, make sure you've eaten properly. And by the way, that's another good piece of general advice. This week, you're going to sleep properly, you're going to eat properly. No garbage, and don't do anything earth-shattering in your life this week. Just keep your normal pace of life going. You don't want any excitement, and you just want to be okay for the test day with no no nonsense going on. The test day, if you're taking it in the morning, you can eat a breakfast. If you're taking it in the afternoon, you can eat breakfast and lunch. Okay, make sure they're healthy. You're not going to be eating a bag of Doritos and then going into the test. It's just not going to work. That said, when you go into this, bring a bottle of water and bring two snacks. One they're going to let you eat just before it starts, and one when it's over when you're exhausted. Okay? And that you may even want to bring two bottles of water. Remember again, this is not a calculated test. You're not allowed to bring digital devices. So they're either going to collect them and put them in a basket, and either keep them on the front or the outside of the room. If you bring a knapsack, the same thing's going to happen. They're going to keep it in the front or the outside of the room, and you can't get it until the end. And by the way, you can't leave before 3 hours. Okay? You cannot leave before 3 hours. So when you're finished, use that time to double check, since there's very little time to double check. This is a fast-paced test. So let me just look at some of the things I wrote here. And remember, this test is a mind game as much as anything else. I mentioned that earlier, but that's a really important point. The point is to practice, know the material. You're not going to be there at test day not having practice. That's foolish. It doesn't mean you won't do well, but this is really a different kind of a test than you're used to taking. The closest you've taken is most of you is the New York State test. A few of you may have taken a Regents now. Even some of the 8th graders, but certainly some of the 9th graders probably did. A lot of middle schools offer Regents classes in the last year, and some actually in the past have also in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. My daughter went to Brooklyn Tech, and when she went to her middle school, she had taken, I think, 5 Regents already, but that's pretty rare. And by the way, having taken that Regents actually helped her a lot. Because she was used to more rigorous testing than the state test. So the SHSAT is easily at the level of Regents and probably more. And you want to have rehearsed that. You want to know what the material is. You want to know what the test takers are thinking when they're writing these up. You want to know what the test takers are actually writing as the examples, which is the things they're interested in. Okay? And remember during the test to do the breathing. And remember also, this is your life journey. Life has ups, it has downs, and hopefully you're taking this test because you have a passion in some of the subjects that are being taught at these schools. Most of them are science and technology based, but a few deal with oral speaking and communication and writing and advanced foreign languages like Latin, and one school is really kind of social studies based. Remember that what the core of everything is still the core curriculum, and the rest are all electives. So you still have to take a few years of math. You still have to take a few years of science, right? Everybody has to take chemistry and physics and earth science and all this kind of stuff like that, okay? So it doesn't matter what school you're going to, a SHSAT school or not. Everybody, it's a requirement of New York State diploma. Okay, and there's a Regents diploma, an advanced Regents diploma, and then the SHSAT advanced Regents diploma. So it's not called that, but basically that's the effect. So you want to be able to get there and perform well, and figure all that out. And this is be a time, since it's Wednesday, it doesn't mean you don't want to do double check a few mock practice exams, etc. And if you haven't done a simulated test, definitely do it from front to end. Which might be hard if you used a lot of your test material already. So hopefully you still have one test left that you finally did that with, so you can figure out where you end up. Remember, you want to get about a 500 in here. Some of the cutoff scores they change every year depending on how the algorithms work out. But basically, they rank all the tests, and they take the top scorer and say, what was your first number one school? They put that person in there. They take number two and say, what was your number one school? And this goes on until that number one school is filled up. And then whoever's next in line, if that school's all the seats are taken, then they take that person's second school. And it goes on through all the things. And that's how the cutoff score is determined. This isn't pass-fail. It's based on how many seats are available in each of the 7 schools and how many of the top scorers that they just insert over there. And this is a standard program. It probably takes 30 seconds to run, and bing, bang, boom, that's the end of it, after all the tests are scored. So remember, there's a curve and stuff like that. And again, the point is, this is not the end of the world. There's a lot of great New York City high schools. So even if you get into a SHSAT school, you may decide that you don't want to go to one. So, and that's a valid thing to do. And no matter how you slice it, taking the SHSAT is a good thing, because it teaches you rigor, it teaches you discipline, it teaches you to set your mind to something. And taking this as a standardized test is a really great benchmark, because eventually you're going to take the SAT or the ACT or the PSAT or some other standardized test, including maybe in college to get your license, which could be in 8 years or something for now, but it's still good practice. All right. I may do another video later. You can email me at GregsTutoringNYC@gmail.com. I kind of briefly mentioned what I did earlier, but I've been tutoring for a few decades. I normally tutor to elementary school children, mainly grade 3 to 8, but also from pre-K, sometimes in high school, sometimes the Regencies, sometimes the SAT, ISEE, and a few other tests like that. So, and I more or less specialize in the New York State tests, so that's grade 3 to 8, during the March time frame, or whenever they decide to do it each year. It floats back and forth. And I also specialize in specialized high school testing. And there's a lot of different kind of specialized high school testing. There's the 7 New York City specialized high schools. There's the Bergen County academies in New Jersey, plus there's other specialized high schools in New Jersey. There's Hunter College in the Upper East Side, which has its own specialized test. That's not the same as the SHSAT. In this other testing and other high stakes high schools. In fact, there's some scenarios where I even teach students not going to a specialized school to do the SHSAT, because it's introducing rigor, discipline, thoughts they never had before. The questions are not the same as the state test, even though it's based on the New York State curriculum, and it's going at a more accelerated level. It's a little out of the box sometimes. You want a student who's a creative thinker, trying to get into some of these schools, who really likes the intellect of it and things like that. Okay, everybody have a nice day. I might do an Ask Me Anything later, but at the moment, I'll just keep doing these little tidbits through the week. Hopefully I can do another one tomorrow on Friday, and maybe even through Saturday and Sunday. Okay? All right. Everybody have a nice day, and good luck on the test.